too much. So let me bring the main screen up here. Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm back, and yeah, we got a few things to kick off here as we're going. Do a little bit of coding. I don't know how long I'm going to go tonight. I might only go like 2 hours today. I did mean to come on like my normal time today, but it was I had to run some errands, and then I wanted to very much so get some exercise in, because it's been really good weather, and I want to take advantage of it, because it's going to be, I think Monday and Tuesday here is going to be back down into the 40s. It's in the 60s today and tomorrow. So 40s is a little bit rough to try to do outside stuff in, for me anyway. But and then it's going to go back up into the 50s for the rest of the week. So 50s I can do, 40s not so much. So I wanted to make sure I could go take advantage of it as it stands right now. I have not put any tweets out or anything here, so give me a moment, friend. Is yeah. There. One moment, my friends, while I get these out. Get the social needs out. And get started here. Now, also, I think I need to there's one thing I forgot to do. Hang on 1 second, my friend. Find all the stuff here. Okay. Yeah, hold on 1 second, friends. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, I can see now. Yeah. Oh, and I hit the wrong button too. I put you back on the starting instead of the break screen. Whatever. Anyway, my friends. So hope everyone is doing well so far this week. Hope everything's going well for everybody. Hey, Esk. welcome on in. Thanks. Thanks for that. How you doing? You doing good? Doing good? I gotta my screen over here. See what you guys can see. Aha, there we go. Excellent. Used to join YouTube. Yeah, no problem. No problem. I got YouTube, I got Twitch, I got Live Space. That's what I've been rocking lately. This is so the Hex project is me trying to do a live streaming service like Twitch and like YouTube and all those things just for funsies. So yeah, what do I think about Devin? Oh, you're talking about the Devin AI project. I just saw a thing come down about it. I haven't really had a chance to really dig into it or to really read too much about it. I did see someone commented that the Devin AI project, that like one of the first things that they found that was kind of problematic about it is that it will very happily expose API keys in your code base. So it'll just like write API keys directly into the code without, trying to obscure them or obfuscate them or anything like that. That, I mean, that's kind of understandable. You're not cooked yet. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of understandable for like their first initial thing there is that the AI doesn't understand best practices yet, especially around security and things like that. But I haven't read too much more about it. Honestly, I'm not concerned. Because your typical developer does much more than just write code, right? I'm not concerned because I'm a master of program. Yeah, but hear me out for a minute. Even like junior developers definitely do more code than other tasks because they're trying to gain experience. But really, you're not coding 100% of the time, right? You still need to be able to interpret requirements. You need to be able to go back and forth and hammer out good requirements for people who aren't quite as technically inclined. There's still, and there's as much as it's science, there's art to it as well, right? Like, sure, any schlub can write some code, but it really takes thought and ingenuity to solve problems, which is ultimately what your code's supposed to be doing, is solving a problem under constraints, Devin takes a prompt though. What do you think about this? Yeah, but see, I mean, that's the same thing with like, with anything, right? It's the old adage, garbage in, garbage out, right? If you give Devin a garbage prompt, you're going to get garbage code, right? So you still have to formulate your prompt in such a way that you're going to get really what you're looking for. You know what I mean? And, if someone can sit there for 2 hours and type out a super detailed prompt with all Cookatron 2000, yeah, can sit there and type out for 2 hours and type out a super detailed prompt that ends up giving them solid code on the other side, that's probably okay. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. And here's the thing about that too, and I know like it's more it's more controversial in like the art. You have to know programming and get a good prompt. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a chicken and egg thing, right? But that's the thing. Like it's kind of like the AI art stuff. Like the AI art stuff is even more controversial because it was trained on other people's art, and it's really not formulating its own thing. It's taking bits and pieces of other people's work. Now, granted, the same thing is true for Devin. I mean, he's using code that other people have written, but, and this is where I disagree with the ruling with, Oracle v. Google. There's only, you can't really copyright code. Because it's really just a set of instructions. Yeah, he searches the web and gets answers from Stack Overflow. Yeah, I mean, he does what I do. He does what any programmer does, right? We go on Stack Overflow and we're like, well, that looks like what I need. And you just kind of tool it to your own benefits, which is fine. Again, we all do it. And there's only so many ways you can write code and have it work properly, right? So in many ways, a programming AI is less controversial in my head than in any other realm. But it's also there's skills there that it won't have. Like I said, part of what we do as developers is we're trying to help people who aren't developers to succeed, right? Which means, we get, someone who doesn't really know the ins and outs of computing, right? They'll come up with what they want requirements wise, and then we are supposed to take those requirements and kind of bounce it back to them and say like, well, are you sure you want to do this? You could probably do it this way. You could try to do it that way. And we try, and that bouncing back and forth. Hey, tech, welcome. That bouncing back and forth is what helps you build a better product, right? Because you're still, you still have someone who has a problem, a business problem, and they have things that they want to do, things they want to accomplish. But you're making sure that they accomplish them in a sane way and are still being secure along the way, and they're not taking too much for granted and all that stuff. So to write good requirements, you really do need someone who understands technology, right? At least to run it by them. Someone who knows the business, who understands the business, can definitely come up with what the business requires, but then it's got to be tempered by someone who understands the software and stuff. So an AI doing that can't replicate that part, at least not yet. Old man has learned new tricks. Just made a video for YouTube and did it using AI. Didn't take too long, 30 minutes or so. Oh, there you go. Cool. Yeah, you've been digging into the AI stuff too, Tech, right? Yeah. Yeah, so the Devin AI thing, I think it's neat. It's not replacing any developers. And so I'm not concerned about it. I'm not concerned about losing jobs over it. Because it'll certainly produce something competent, but it won't necessarily produce something secure, right? Or it won't necessarily produce something that is performant or things of that nature, right? It's it's going to do the best job it can do in the sandbox it finds itself in. But we're still a long ways away from losing that battle. And let's be honest about this whole AI revolution, right? The AI only helps the Google era programmers, not the real ones who know the tricks and stuff. Exactly. But let's put this whole AI thing in perspective, right? We're seeing a what do they call it? It's like a field shift, a revolution, right? We're witnessing a revolution coming in the way that, you know, people work. Right? When I was growing up, before the internet times, you could get away with not being very computer or technically minded, right? Then as I got older, as we got into the late 90s and I started to get into college and stuff, it became more and more evident that if you wanted to compete anywhere, you really needed to have technology. No matter what industry you're in, you need to at least know how to operate and navigate a computer system, right? And those who couldn't do that started having a hard time finding jobs. They were finding that their industry was completely revolutionizing underneath them, and they were falling behind. They weren't keeping up, and it was a rough transition for a lot of people, you know. And those who survived that were the ones who were flexible, right? They're the ones who said, all right, things are changing, bring it on. I'll do what I can. I'll learn what I can. I'll change with the time, right? We're seeing something very similar now with the AI, right? AI is coming in, and it's not replacing anybody yet, but it's starting to get really good at what it does, right? And it's putting a lot of people on edge, because any kind of sea change like that will do that, right? Legalities aside, I mean, obviously there's, you know, in the realm of software development, I don't really see there being a problem, but in the realm of like art and music and stuff, yeah, there's going to be some legal hurdles that they're going to have to get over as well. Software development, maybe not so much, but it's another one of those situations where if you just stay flexible and you embrace what's coming down and use it as a tool, but still use your own brain, you know what I mean? Like, still learn things. Don't use it as a replacement yet. Still learn why things work the way they do. But use it as the tool it's meant to be. Use it as a hammer, use it as a screwdriver, whatever. When it does eventually come to a point where it's the baseline, you know, like every company is using it kind of thing, you'll be ready to jump in and make it work for you, and you'll still be able to change enough to have it just be another fact of life, right? Yeah, it's help my work get robots and new tech places fast booming. Yeah. You can see my work if it stays open, having mostly robots doing all. Yeah, no, and that's obviously true, you know. A new time clock they just installed as Linux. Yeah. New time clock they just installed. Yeah. I mean, and again, like, it depends on the industry too, right? Like, there were certainly whole industries that are like, I'll say like the automotive industry, for instance, where, yeah, a lot of people lost their jobs because the robots were just safer. And I guess ultimately at the end of the day, cheaper, right? That's going to happen too. Definitely. When it comes to the white collar jobs, I don't see it replacing a lot of white collar workers, except for maybe the ones who are not, how do I say this nicely, providing value, I guess. The ones who are just kind of held back, the ones who haven't really expanded and haven't really kept up with the times. You'll lose them, definitely. But I don't think you'll lose those who stay mobile and those who stay flexible and all that stuff. You know? A few tricks to show her how easy it was, and she's like, how do you know this stuff? I was just, I do. And then it changed, what else can we do to build PC stuff? Someone do tech hardware. Yeah, see? I mean, that's how it happened, right? I mean, how many people have I hired who were just like, who were doing anything but software development? I mean, there were, you know, mathematicians, English majors, you know, anything that was not even remotely close to a software development thing. And they just had a thought like, hey, I kind of like this stuff. I want to try it out. And, you know, I interview them and they know their stuff. And I'm like, all right, sure, come on in, you know? And it's just amazing, you know, like it's crazy, you know? Now thinking on it as I see it, if they replace main blue workers, then 90% of our workforce and taxpayers are out the door. It's true. I do think there's... I wasn't saying that was necessarily good. I was just saying that that's kind of what happened. It's the same thing like in the white collar sector if they start offshoring all the time, right? Like there was a big push when I was first getting into the software development. There was a huge push to do everything offshore. And it kind of comes and goes in waves, right? Where like there's a big wave of it where they wanted everything to be offshore because they could look at all the money they could save by not paying people, because you know you pay someone a quote unquote living wage over there and it's nothing compared to what you pay someone in the US, right? But they had a huge quality issue, and then that kind of died off a little bit. Balanced out a bit because they were, you know, quality wasn't so good coming in with the code coming in, and we were just redoing everything. And then, you know, it might, right now there's more of a balance of it. It might end up tipping the other way again, where they want to go offshore again. I kind of see that probably happening again. You know, we're definitely not immune to that same problem that the blue collar workers have as well. People like you with no degrees can't move up at all. It's difficult, and I get that. It's the mobility. I've always said one of the worst practices that we have, particularly in the software industry, is that every technology company requires that you have a degree. And let me tell you something. As someone who forced himself to go and get a bachelor's degree, that degree ain't worth shit. I did that only to get my foot in the door. That's it. It was a lot of money. It's not nearly as much money as it is today. I mean, it was still a lot of money back then. It was, what did I have, like $60,000-$70,000, something like that, over 4 years, which would be even more so now. So that, I think, is one of the worst practices we have, is that someone somewhere decided that that was the minimum requirement, and it has not improved quality. It has done nothing but just exclude good people from getting into the industry, right? That's all it's done. It's just a freaking hall pass, very expensive cocktail napkin, with your permission slip on it, and that's it. It's really, because the quality of person you get in varies so wildly. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what school they went to. They could have gone to MIT and you'd still get some freaking slack, right? Like, it's just, it does not ensure any kind of quality as the description on the tin would suggest. Degrees are overrated. Most with one still has no idea what the real stuff is. I have several with multiple of them, and I still outdo them. They freak out. Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true. It's not. The degree does not explain passion, I guess, is what it comes down to. All the degree says is that you went through the motion, right? It doesn't say, hey, this guy or this gal, eats, sleeps, and breathes code. They really love this, or they really love that, or they're really good at this, or they're really good at that. It doesn't say any of that. In fact, when I graduated, it was all academic, right? Like, sure, they teach you the basics of coding. They don't teach you how to write secure code. They don't teach you how to work with source control. They don't teach you how to work with existing code and how to integrate your code with existing code and write code that is maintainable based on the code that's already existing in the system. They don't tell you how to do code review and how to respond to code review. They don't teach you how to take requirements and how to sit in a requirements meeting with business people and hammer out requirements that are actually feasible based on what's going on, right? All that stuff you end up learning on the job, if you're lucky. Depending on where you end up, it could be, any range of things that you end up learning, right? Just the other day, my machine was messed up, so I had 5 different people working on it because I couldn't fix it. Said, let me test something. And they all cried, you don't know anything. And I hacked in right away, got it working better. Not right away, but it runs better. They all got made and left. It was too funny. For an overhead auto picking crane has some home reset point, and they always take it to the spot. I reset with a trick to a different spot, and then bingo, it runs great. They said you can't do that, but I did. Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's the other hard part, is proving yourself, right? Because a lot of these positions don't allow for that, especially if you're dealing with like IT and stuff. Like they're trained to treat everybody like they don't know anything, and they don't want to hear that you do know something. You know, work on it every day. Yeah, I know, and your experience with it should factor in to how they repaired it. Should be a huge factor into it. But there's also, I mean, you know, there's ego trips too. You know, that's definitely another negative of the whole industry. You know, people do get big heads, and they I'm reminded of the SNL skits with I think with Jimmy Fallon, the SNL skits where he was the IT guy, and he would just come in and be like, move. He'd just be really obnoxious, just yell at people like, move, and he'd just move them out of the way, and he would sit there and type, and then he'd talk, you know, all technical and stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, you know, you have those. We have those. I mean, I literally had an IT guy the other day, actually like last year or something. They insisted that we move all of our development boxes to the cloud. And so I went and rebuilt our dev boxes in the cloud. I had to go do it. And so they put a base image out there that everybody was supposed to use. And so I was like, all right, well, I need access to it so I can go and put I can put Jenkins and all the, you know, continuous integration software and all that stuff on it. And they issued me a username and password, and they so I was like, okay, just use your regular, you know, network username and then your regular network password. I was like, okay. Or they gave me a different password or whatever. And so I type in my normal credentials, and it's like, you know, it's not letting me in. I'm like, yeah, it's not letting me in. And they're like, well, let's you know, share your screen so we can see what you're doing. I'm like, okay. So I do it. I share my screen, and they're like, well, your username's not right. I'm like, well, you see, my username has my last name in it. So if the name that I'm typing is not right, then you guys didn't spell my name correctly. Oh, no, I spelled it. This is how it's spelled. I'm like, dude, I think I know how my last name is spelled. I think you need to go and reissue a new user with the correct username. So he did, and then everything worked. And I was like, you know, but it's stuff like that. It's like stupid crap like that you still, like, I even deal with that, you know, even now, you know, it's for some reason, maybe it's the revenge of the nerds kind of thing, right? We were all so picked apart as nerds growing up that suddenly, now that we have some semblance of power, we're all on a power trip. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. It might very well be just that's going on, you know? Had a drive motor go bad, caused a read-write error. 3 people tried to fix the code to ignore it. I said, give me a set of screwdrivers. They didn't do this, I said, but I can fix it now easy. He said, and do what? I said, I'll fool it with the sensor wire I took and took off the one and ran to another one. It was working. Bingo. Fixed it. They all cried again. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what happens, right? It's like, what can I say other than that's the unfortunate area that we find ourselves in, the unfortunate way that things work right now. And I mean, you know, let's put that in perspective. If they were typing those problems into an AI prompt, it's not going to be any better, right? In fact, the AI prompt might even suggest something that is actually dangerous, you know, from a safety perspective, you know. Get stuff done, they just think on how it should be, not how it is done. Well, and see, I would. I get what you're saying, Beck. I do. I don't necessarily disagree that there shouldn't be someone. Like I still think there should still be someone who's thinking like, this is great and all, this is a great temporary fix, but we really should fix this correctly, right? But that's me coming from a software perspective, right? Where, yeah, have I done some pretty ugly hacks just to get things done? Yes. Am I proud of them? No. But I'm always got in the back of my head, like, okay, we got this thing working. We hacked it together. It's working. I want to revisit this at some point and do it right. You know what I mean? And so I don't think it's necessarily a problem that someone there wants to do it the right way or what they consider to be the right way. But I do agree that at some point, you know, you got to look at the numbers and go like, okay, we're losing X amount of money per minute this thing is not working. If we can hack it in such a way that doesn't compromise safety, then let's do that right now. We'll make a note of it and then revisit and see what we can do, how we can do it the correct way, you know, whatever the correct way is, quote unquote, you know, later. You know what I mean? My fix is a quick one, not a long-term one, but at my place, it's not a quick there for long haul. Yeah. And that's the other problem, right? So that's why you've got people on the other side like saying, no, we gotta do this the right way. Because it's the same thing in like software, right? Like, I've worked at places where, you know, we've argued for doing things the correct way, and there hasn't been enough time given to us, so we hack things in, and then we're never given permission to go back and fix those hacks. So those hacks become long-term solution. And so the more that happens, where a hack that people don't like becomes a long-term thing because you're not given permission to go back and fix it, the more people yell and complain about doing more hacks, right? It's kind of it's one of those things. So if you're in a place that's like that, where like a quick hack ends up becoming a long-term fix, I can see there being a lot of consternation where people are like, no. We're never going to get the permission to go back and fix this correctly. We need to do this right now. And it's a juggling act, right? It's a hard one to deal with. So I can kind of see both sides of it. I'm not saying that one side's wrong and the other side's right. I'm just saying that nobody wants to do a bad job. You know what I mean? And once you've done one bad job, and then you've got to do another bad job on top of it, and another bad job on top of that, and another bad job on top of that, eventually you're just like, eventually you don't want to touch the thing. You're just like, yeah, let's not, I don't want my name on this, you know? So everything at your work is that way. Even when safety issues are up in the air, they don't care. They just like the will cry people more than the hardworking. Yeah. I mean, that's a culture, that's a corporate culture problem, a company culture problem at that point. And there's plenty of those to go around. I mean, my current job has, like, the area that I work in works really well and does really good things. But the larger company is, from what I can determine, a shit show. They have a lot of corporate culture issues. They want everyone, like, they've acquired a lot of companies along the way. And they want all of these companies, all these different software products that they've acquired to work as just one big giant product. But they're not willing to break down the silos that have been created throughout the company, right? So I've been sitting in on, like, architectural meetings for this, grand vision, one product thing. And most of it boils down to, how can we find new and exciting ways to toss the workload over the cubicle wall to the next person, right? It's all about, there 50 ways that they want to do documentation. And here's how the documentation should look. Here's where the documentation should go. And here's how you share this documentation. And instead of it being, all right, here's how all of these different varying parts, all these different varying teams are going to work together to make this thing happen. Instead, it's like, how do I cover my ass and send it over to, how can I not talk to the person sitting next to me? How can I just toss a bunch of paperwork over to them and say, just read that. That's all you need. Just read that. Right. And I'm like, I've said to my boss, I'm like, I don't understand how they think they're going to succeed at what they want to do. Under those conditions. Right. I mean, they've literally set it up so that these individual pieces have to talk to one another through some layer. They can't talk directly to one another. They got to talk to some other layer to then talk to them, to then talk them back. And then, like, what is going on here? Like, what is this insanity? All because they don't want to talk to the person sitting next to them. They don't want to talk to the person, oversee in that group. They don't want to synchronize features across different cores, right? They want to just keep on, they want to keep their silos and they want to keep their fiefdoms and they just want to keep doing what they're doing and not take any responsibility for anything outside of their own little group. And it's just like, I don't know how that's supposed to succeed. I don't get it. But that's the reality of how a lot of these things work. Whenever there's some baffling decision by Google or by Amazon or something like that, that's how those baffling decisions come to fruition. They're just someone who just doesn't want to do the work. you know? The internally made personal walls to make it over a harder mess. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. It's very much a that's above my pay grade, or that's not my job kind of thing. And that's a hard thing to balance. And I get that, you know. I've always struggled to balance that. And that's maybe why part of why I've succeeded and part of why I've failed, right? Is that I've always had trouble balancing between what should be my job and what isn't my job. And I wouldn't say that's ever gotten me into trouble, but it has made it where I've worked very long hours for no additional pay, just to make sure that things are working, you know. Like when I was working in e-commerce, we had the same problem where there was just these silos all over the place and no one talked to one another. And I took it upon myself to be essentially the water cooler, you know. I found a person in every group that I could befriend, and we'd go out to lunch and we'd just talk, you know. And we talk in groups, and then I would find out, like, hey, what are you guys working on? And it was only through that I was able to, like, we avoided some really nasty problem because I happened to know that something was going on in another project that was going to affect our project. And I was able to head off a lot of problems and, like, tell my boss, like, hey, let's go. We need to coordinate with these guys because they're doing something that's going to interfere with what we're doing. And if we coordinate now, while it's still being written, we'll all come out and succeed in the end. And there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of coordination that just wasn't happening between those teams that I ended up facilitating just because I was being a newsy little biatch, right? And I was in everybody else's business. But it also meant that I struggled just to get my own work done, you know? Why I fail, you just do it all. If it needs done, you just do it. It makes so many mad. Well, yeah. Yeah, it's I can see that. And I'm sure there were guys that were, you know, thinking about when I was going between the projects and stuff. I'm sure there were guys who thought I was the, you know, being a pain in the ass sometimes. But we avoided so many issues that at some point, I think my boss at some point was just like, you know what? I'm not gonna stop what's happening because so much good is coming out of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It also meant that I had a lot of late nights, and I ended up leaving that job because, you know, that was the one that I burned out at. You know, like, I watched the sunrise from the conference room far too many times at that job. More times than I ever wanted to. I knew when the air conditioning turned off. You know, it turned off at 2 in the morning, and then it got hot as hell in there, and then turned back on at like 5 in the morning. That's something that no one should ever have to know. You know, one of those things. Like I know more about the facilities than the facilities guy. You know? I think we were, because it's funny because we were all there. I think it was me and a few others who were there. And I said to one of the guys there, was like, yeah, the air conditioning is going to turn off at 2 a.m. And they're like, oh, we got to do something about that. And we call up facilities and we say, hey, can we get it so that the air conditioning doesn't turn off at 2? And facility guy says, I didn't even know that it turned off. Like, yep, you just gotta look at the programming on it. And he went and looked at the programming on it. He's like, oh yeah, sure enough, it does turn off. All right, I'll turn it off. I'll temporarily avoid that for now. But yeah. So let's see. We got we have a couple Pendabot things here. Textile and Jackson. Both of these will be okay to bring down. So I'm just going to approve those and merge them down. Now I'll tell you what, going back to the Devon AI, one thing that would be super useful is if the Devon AI could look at, so we've got the Pendabot here, which actually just looks at your build file and it says, hey, based on the version numbers I found in your build file of all the utilities of all the other libraries that you're using, there are new versions of these libraries out there. And that's it. It doesn't tell you, and it tries to scrape, change logs and stuff, but it doesn't tell you, it doesn't assess whether or not there's a benefits and the drawbacks to you upgrade, right? What would be really fantastic is if this Devon AI could look at the results of Dependabot and say, hey, let me look at all your code. Let me see what kind of impact this upgrade will have on you, if any. Like, oh, okay, if you upgrade to this version, this other code you have over here is now going to be deprecated. And if that's, and it should be instead rewritten to use this new way of doing things, right? If they could figure out an AI to do that and do that very well, that would make everybody's life. Because right now, as it stands, and I can say this from just from the day job, like we want to upgrade Spring. We're a couple versions behind. We want to upgrade to Spring. So I'll upgrade on a branch, and then I have to find out all the problems that arise from that, right? So, oh, it doesn't build. Why is it building? Oh, this is why. You kind of find out after the fact, right? Stuff doesn't build. Stuff's not working right. Like, I know that we have to change the way we do uploaded files and stuff because they've gotten rid of the mechanism we're using now. And someone has to sit there and just do that analysis. And you never catch everything, right? You end up getting everything seemingly working, and then QA hits the app and they find other things that you didn't even think could have been a problem that are now a problem, right? Invariably, that's what happens. It would be so fantastic if one of these AI bots just did that analysis. Be like, okay, here's what's changed based on the change log. We've parsed this change log. We know what's going on. We've looked at your code, and here's new patterns that are being established. You don't necessarily have to upgrade to these patterns yet because the other old ones are still there. But here's, here's ones that are deprecated, and now you need to go switch over to this other pattern, so on and so forth. Here's things that are missing now. Just having it do that, if we could just get an AI bot that just does that piece, that would be so fantastic. That would I mean, that's a good 25% of my job is doing that. Just going through change logs and trying to figure out what the hell is changed, what's going to go on. Because my big thing is I want to make sure we don't have to be bleeding edge, but we have to be close. We have to be upgrading constantly. That way, if there are security issues and stuff and patches are issued, we're not that far out that we can, get the security patches in and all that stuff. Just like, and just keep us, make sure we're as close to, the front line as we can be without taking on all the problems of being, up in the front. And there's so many other projects that don't do that. They just they let their stuff languish for years, and then all of a sudden they need to upgrade, and now it just becomes this huge big project where they got to do all kinds of things just to do an upgrade. Whereas I'm like, yeah, let's continuously upgrade as we're going, and let's try to stay as close as we can to what's going on and the new patterns that are happening and all that stuff, so that we don't fall so far behind that it becomes a huge problem. And that's the, and to be fair to the other teams, a lot of them don't have the permission to do that. They don't have the buy-in from the business side to do that. They can recommend that things have to be upgraded, but the business won't give them time to do it. It won't give them, the ability to actually do it. They just want to keep pushing new features, and never fixing what's already there, or upgrading what's already there, or preventing future bugs by keeping things up to date. And so I get the struggle there, but it's just, it's really, that's something you really have to push back on. You really have to get the business people to understand that this is important. You could drive your car for 100,000 miles without changing the oil, but you really shouldn't. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what they're doing, is they're driving their car for hundreds of thousands of miles and never changing the oil. As far as technology is concerned, that's not a good way of doing things. Gonna bump up Logback Classic on Greenmail stuff. No problem there. Cool. All right. Pull that code down. So, as I mentioned when I went live, I did not intend for this to be a short. I intended to go live a couple hours ago, but I had chores I had to do, and I had to go out and exercise and take advantage of the weather while I can. So probably only going to go until 8 p.m. my time, which is in about an hour. So we'll see how much I can get done. I apologize for the shorter stream, but it's just couldn't be helped today, unfortunately. And I know I skipped last night's stream because I just was not in the. I was just so tired. I've been, for those unaware, I've been dieting and exercising. I've been really kicking my own butt, walking 3 miles a day whenever I can and all that stuff. Because I'm having health issues. And basically they all boil down to stop being a fatty. So that's what I'm trying to do. So on the weekends, during the week, it's not usually a problem unless I'm like super tired, like I was Friday. Because I stream late at night, but on the weekends, I'll figure something out. I'll try to figure something out as best as I can. So that I can still get started early, or at least earlier in the afternoon, and have more time to do stuff. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is I put a Twitter post out, or I kind of like asked, like, would anyone be interested in seeing me write a bot? A bot for LiveSpace, and then eventually Twitch and YouTube. And as I predicted, I got a couple of positive responses. So I'm also in my head trying to figure out how that would work. I'm going to submit the form to try to get developer credentials for LiveSpace. I'm going to start out with LiveSpace. Wife just got home, right? What? Write a bot. So not only chat bot, but a something to post chat on your screen, on OBS and all that stuff, and do events and alerts and all that. Basic stuff that a bot would do, like a Gaster Labs or a Botrix or something like that. But I'll do it like from scratch. I'll do it on stream. You guys can see it happen. I have to submit the form for LiveSpace so I can get access to LiveSpace's API. So we'll see if that goes through. I haven't done it yet, but I have to do that. And I'm just trying to, in my head, I'm trying to figure out how I want it to be technologically. Because what I want is, I really like Mixitup-Bot, and I really like Mixitup-Bot because it's local, and it has access to your local machine, and it can access your OBS and all that stuff. So I definitely want something that runs locally, but Mixitup-Bot has a problem where it struggles to do. Yes, it is overcomplicated. I do agree with you. Mixitup-Bot is the UI is very complicated, and I want to work on that and make it like, I want to try to make a UI that's not quite as like crazy balls as that. I also think that as much as I like Gaster Labs is also a little bit complicated. Whenever especially with the chatbot, whenever you want the chatbot to do certain things, like you have to write code to make the chatbot do certain. And I think that's asking too much of regular people. Hell, I'm a coder and it's asking too much of me. I don't want to make the bot things. I just want to tell it, like, if somebody says this, do that. I'd like to try to find a middle ground there somewhere. My thought was it would be something you download. It's probably going to be in Java, so I can use the install shield, not install shield, but the installer that there's an installer out there, and I forget the name of it. It was one that used to do Winamp installer, but it can download a JVM for you and make it a local one for that app stuff. I'll do that. It'll be like a fat app. It'll act like a fat app, and you don't have to worry about downloading Java and all that stuff. I want it to spin up its own little web server that's just local. You can only connect to it locally. It'll have its own local database. And then that way I can just, and then you would interact with it through your browser, not as like a windowed application. It would just be a browser thing. So you would point your browser to localhost, blah, 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 whatever port, right? And you configure it, and it would kind of look a lot like a Botrix or something like that, where you just configure it from there. The big issue there is doing OAuth authentication, because a lot of places require that the OAuth handshake take place against something out on the internet. So you can't say, you know, call me back on localhost. A lot of them won't allow you to do that. Like Google, for instance, won't allow you to do that. It'll allow you to do it for like temporary, for like the developer keys that they call them. But once you make it a production key, it won't let you do that. It wants you to have like a website somewhere that it handshakes the OAuth to. So I was looking at there's a concept of OAuth proxy servers that you can run that will do the OAuth handshake for you. You can have something out on the internet that does the whole OAuth handshake, and then I got to see how I then gain access to the refresh key and stuff from that. Because the one I'm looking at has like an API that you can call it with, that I think then will give you the refresh key that you then use locally, and then you use that refresh key to actually communicate between your computer and the endpoint. And then the proxy doesn't come into play until your key expires and you need to get a new one. I have to see how that works. That's like, I have to kind of conceptualize it and try some things and see if I can figure out how that kind of fits in there. Because if I could do that in such a way that it isn't like insanity, then I can probably really start to look at like writing a bot or something and having it work against not only LiveSpace, but like Twitch and YouTube, probably. Basically work against anything that has a proper API, you know, and credentials and stuff like that. So I probably wouldn't do Kik unless Kik gets a proper API. Good luck on that. And I don't know if any of the other ones have actual APIs or not. I imagine Trovo probably has one. And DLive probably has one as well. I don't know if Rumble has one, but you know, kind of go that way. Just the first three first, and then see what happens. And then just provide a means to be able to show events and alerts and stuff on your stream. Be able to communicate directly with your OBS through the OBS WebSocket that it opens up. That'll be an interesting little programming thing. So I have that on the side. I'm thinking about it. I have to see how that's all going to fall in to get together. And then I just gotta kind of figure out how that's going to work from a streaming perspective. So I still want to keep working on the Hex project. I want the Hex project to still keep moving forward. So that means I'm going to have to kind of switch contexts between that and the bot. I'd like to do it in such a way that I can keep both of those things going at the same time, if possible. So we'll see. We'll see. I you know, I thought about maybe having it like having Sundays be another voting day. The problem with that is right now my Sundays are booked because I'm like tomorrow I'm not going to be able to do a stream because I'm falling behind in work during the day job, so I really need Sunday to work on my stuff for my day job and try to get that together because we're in crunch mode there. So once I'm out of crunch mode, which should hopefully be within the next week or two, then my Sundays will open back up again, hopefully. But I also want to make sure I don't overdo it either. So, you know, like I said, it's hard to sit here and code after you've been coding all day long, you know. So it's but we'll see. I'll figure all those things out as I can. I honestly, I look at a lot of these streamers who stream for like 8 or 9 hours a day or 10 hours a day, streaming games and stuff, and I'm in awe of how they do it, of how they manage to do it all day long, right? Especially if they're playing just the one game all day long. If they're switching games, I can kind of understand it a little bit. But if they're playing the same game all day long, like I'm impressed with how they're able to manage that, because I would not be able to. Like I could play a game for like 2 or 3 hours in a sitting, and then maybe I'd switch over to something else. But to have just the one game constantly going, unless it's I mean, there have been situations I have played like Horizon Zero Dawn for like 6 or 7 hours straight. I mean, you know, there have been situations like that, but they're so few and far between. I'm consistently impressed that game streamers are able to do what they do for as long as each day, you know. So I mean, kudos to them. I don't think I could. I don't think I could do it. At least not in that way. Oh. Okay. No. That's just for the sake of argument here. Okay, I want to add a pull the code down. Merge. Boolean. Let's do a clean build. I need to bring Tucker. To run my database. Right, we can shut down the app ones. I don't need those. I'm running the app locally. I just need the database to be spun up, so I can point at that. Good. Good. Let's just, for the sake of argument, build and run for a second here and just see where we're at. Now, my thought for today was to start doing, so we did like following. You can follow and unfollow channels right now. So my thought was to do the banning stuff, because that's all in the same database table. Speaking of which, let's bring our Aqua Data Studio up here. Oh, a little bit bigger for you guys. Right, so we have this followers table now, and in here I decided to combine followers with banned and timeout and stuff like that. I think that'll work okay. I don't think there's a reason for me to have them in a separate table. But by bringing them in here, I had to have an active field, whether or not you're actively following this person or not. So have that. And that also kind of hopefully simplifies a little bit our queries for this stuff when we need to query this stuff. Then we got the timed out expiration here. If they're just timed out, whether or not they have notifications turned on. And I'm sure there's probably going to be something more I'm going to do here. I think one of the things I'm going to want is an audit table that comes off of this, or maybe tracks when someone was banned and when someone was timed out. In fact, I'm almost positive I want an audit table come off of here. Of course, that means if I do an audit table, then I can't use... Well, I can, but I shouldn't. If I have an audit table come off of this, then I should have like an additional... I should have just one primary key on this table instead of the dual primary key that I have right now, which is target user and follower user ID. I could get away with this, but it just makes the select that I have to do against the audit table a little bit more complicated. I'd have to select using two values. So just one. I guess that's fine. The audit table itself will have to have its own. We'll definitely have to have a primary key that's not these two things, because they could be in there multiple. There could be multiple entries for the. I guess that's fine. I guess I could do it that way. Yeah. Then I could look for just like if you wanted to know how this user's been banned or timed out across channels, it would be very easy. Okay. Now maybe we'll do that. Let's do I think as part of this I want to do a banned audit table, because that will also be like mod notes. So if a mod times out somebody or bans somebody, they can put a note on there that says like why did you do this? Why did you do that? And then the streamer will be able to look at that directly and be like, oh, I see why. Okay, they were timed out, oh, they were just timed out as a goof, or they were timed out for legitimate reasons, or blah 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 blah, whatever. I think that would be a very good thing. So what we're going to start with. So, okay, let's start it. You just do it right. Okay, so we can follow and we can unfollow. I gotta fix that so it doesn't print null out, but that's fine. So that seems to be working. So if I follow that and I do select here, active is true, last updated, okay, and that unfollow, select again, active is false, last updated was updated. Okay, we're good. We're good there. All right. So let us go and find operations, followers, copy that, as initial ban audit. All right, this will be the ban audits, I guess, because everything's plural right now, so ban audit table. And we want this to be 03 16 20 24 19 18 45. Table if exists and audit. Okay. We want ID, UID, not null, primary key. I'll test down here. Target follower will stay the same. And then we gotta figure out what we want to say here. So I guess I guess timed out expiration makes sense here too. Rated, last updated. I guess it makes sense to have a last update on here. I feel like it's only going to have a created, though. I don't think you would update an audit records. You could. I guess there would be no reason not to let you edit an audit record. Okay. If you have permission to do so. So you wouldn't have to necessarily put a ban reason in right away. You could come in later on and do it. So what do I want to call it? I guess I can call it reason, ban reason. It's just reason. And that would just be varchar 1000. We'll let that be nullable. Oh, and we'll probably want a who did the ban. So, say moderator. I know it doesn't have to be a moderator, but I'm trying to think of another word that would be more all-encompassing. Moderator is kind of all-encompassing. So and last updated. What else would I need? I feel like that's everything. Reason. Yeah, everything else could be derived from it, like the number of times happened and other things. Yeah, that's, I think that's everything. So we want foreign key, and audit target identities, target user ID, and audit follower user ID, identities ID, and then foreign key bin audit moderator to the identities table of foreign key moderator. Ooh, I should call it moderator. Oh, just to be consistent. The references identity ID. So foreign keys are basically saying, like, basically establishing that these columns should, the data in these columns should match data in the identities table, namely the ID column in there. So everything, so the ID, so the data that gets put into target user ID or follower user ID or moderator ID has to be an ID that exists in the identities table. Otherwise it rejects. So, and that's just to keep the data from being, you know, wacky, you know. Also, it allows you to do things like, you know, if you were to ever delete someone from the identities table, it would then, you can then have it cascade, and it would cascade down and delete records that from other tables that reference. Now, in this case, we'll never be deleting anything from the identities table. We just activate or inactivate users. So, but in any event, it's a good data protection, good way to keep your data clean. Is the way to put it. Okay, that's there. I'm gonna stop this. I'll stop the server. I'm gonna do another clean build just to get this file to get copied to the correct folder, and then we can run db migrate, which ran that code. Cool. We should now have a ban audit table. And we indeed do. Let me just look at the structure of that table. So ID, UUID not null, target user ID, UID not null, follower user ID, UID not null, moderator ID null. Reason varchar 4000, nullable yes. It's the only timed expiration is also nullable. And then created, last updated, and timed expiration are all timestamps. 2 of them are not null. That is nullable. Got foreign keys here are correct, and the primary key also no index. All right, cool. That looking correct. I have that table now. Now I can do the database DAO for it. That's pretty straightforward. What controller am I going to put it? I guess there would have to be, I guess it should have its own controller, because it's actually a cross-cutting thing, because you'll be able to moderate people from the chat window, but you'll also be able to do it from the channel settings. Well, like you'll be able to like ban people from there. I guess it makes sense to give it its own control. I guess it does. I guess it makes sense to give it its own controller. Although that controller is going to be that controller would, I guess, have endpoints as well for the settings page, as well as for the chat page. I want to keep everything together. Let's worry about, I guess we'll just worry about the chat page right now, I guess, and then we'll figure that out. So, let's start with a DAO. So we'll start from the back and work our way forward. So DAO, and audit ban. It's just ban probably. Hello Daniel. Welcome on in. So finish there. I guess I'll just put both of them in there because there's going to be. Oh no, the other one is under. The other one is under. The other one I already have mapped under the follower. Yeah, right. Yeah. But this really is going to be renames. This is really just going to be banned. Actually, you know what? You know what? I don't think we need another. I don't think I need another package for that. Let's just put it under follow. It's all related anyway. So. Daniel, are you a bot or are you having a stroke there? Yeah. Where's you and audit, yeah. Right. that. The repository. What? Other. All right, we're gonna have to hang tight, friends. Looks like I got a bot that needs to be kicked to the curb here. Yep. There we go. Okay, taking care of that. And now I just gotta put columns in here. Grab over here. Right, we got ID. Created, updated, timed out. Shit. Go. Okay, so I guess the first things first there is we'll to be able to insert. Be able to insert and to update. So both of those. I want to handle. I want to handle an insert. This is always my problem. Is that? Oh yeah, we gotta add all the columns there and stuff. is always the annoying part. I think what I'm going to do Collins with like I should have did that with things to do. But there are situations where I want one versus the other, I think. But here. Private static final insert. Cool. Insert into and audit. To minute audit. That. It's so join with site that, and then put it not the column. Not the columns of the values that are. Yeah. So it'll be UID one, two, three, four. Two, three, four. Okay. So then it's string utils dot repeat. Comma separator. That would be columns length minus yeah. for now. Actually, have it static final int UID columns. That insert I guess just insert and it would be and I need a something to hold this. So we'll say where's my common Pojos at here? Ban audits. Pojo will make it serializable. There. And have that. I know. Have it ring E target user A follower user the narrator E season dated date last dated date timed out operation. Course, right, getters and setters. This still version ID. Boom. Nope. Good. So then here, take and audit objects. Have it the templates. That up. Right, very good. Good. Then we'll do rows. It is the template that updates what SQL and object bars. We have insert SQL And we're going to do and audit that get B. Target user ID. User ID. Creator. Reason. And created updated and I'm no. Return rows affected 0. That it worked. Sectional. Okay. And then for the update, oh, probably only update part of it, which would be just the reason. The only thing to update. So we'll say public boolean the reason string ID string reason and equals update and audit that is in question mark where ID and then also last updated now. Always updating the last. Posted template update equal and then reason in that order. I'm going to put if string util is blank reason turn false because I don't want them to be able to blank out. That turn rows affected 0 blah sectional. Go. All right. Do basic operations. And then we're going to need, oh, well, we'll need to load up the well to be able to show on the screen. so I might as well implement that. I don't have, I'm probably not going to get to that part yet, but do private static final bring show and audit for user. I guess it'd be due to, like, you'd want to see everything that happened across all users for channel and then also for a particular user. I'll probably have to do two permutations of this. It's fine. All right, I do have to hit the restroom for a minute, my friends. I will be right back. Hang tight. Okay, I'm back, friends. I find it ironic I had to ban somebody while I'm working on ban functionality, but you know, I guess that's the way the internet works. Anyway, my friends, so there's gonna be like 2 of these, one for showing the user and one for showing everything that's happened on the channel. One of the other things, and I'm sure there's people who will probably look back at some of the older videos and be like absolutely livid about this. I have not added any pagination to any of my queries yet. So basically, when these queries run, they're bringing back every record from the database, and just dumping them out onto the screen, which is not a good practice. You really should have like 25 per page or 50 per page or whatever the case may be, and have pagination set up. And I know this, and I know that's a weakness of across the board of what I've done so far. I do intend on going back to everything in the system and looking at all the different queries and saying, okay, what needs pagination and how am I going to do it? Because to me, I feel like I can do it in a way that will work across queries. Like once I do it on one page, all the other pages will be very similar. And I want to see kind of what the best practice is for it. It's not that I haven't done pagination before, I have. But a lot of times when I've done it in the past, there was like a stored procedure involved, and just some database admin put it in their stored procedure, and then I just would call the stored proc with the different pages and stuff. I have not done it. I have not written the actual queries to do it, and I have not done it outside the context of a stored proc. I'm kind of wondering if I need to do it within the context of a stored proc even, but I assume there's ways I can do it without that. In fact, probably there are. Long story short, I do intend on coming back and beefing up all the pages that they paginate correctly, and they don't bring back, thousands of records and try to dump them all onto one page and all that stuff. That is something that I intend on doing and improving. It's just out of the gate, I just want to get the basics working, and then I can go back, because I feel like that's one of those things that I can go back and I can do it a certain way and have that way work everywhere, and just be able to just almost copy paste it, down the line. So bearing that in mind here with what I'm doing. Here's equal select test run and audit where target user ID I wonder if it should be can I show it across? I think I should. I think, if I'm not mistaken, on Twitch, you only see it for like the audit log for a user for your channel by default. when you click on their name in the chat and then you look at their bands and stuff. I don't really see a reason why I shouldn't allow you to see everything. Like all their bands across the platform from all the various channels they've chatted in. I mean, from one perspective, it means you could hold them accountable for their actions elsewhere, which may or may not be fair, question mark. But on the other hand, if it's a bot or someone who just goes around and it's just trying to be mean and nasty to everyone under the sun, you'd be able to identify that very quickly because you'd see them banned in a lot of other places. Because you know, in the same breath that you can't see that oil log beyond your channel, for a user on Twitch, you can now share ban lists with other channels, right? So, which I think is actually probably an okay thing as well. I mean, there's, you know, with any feature, there's always the possibility of abuse. But when it comes to banning and stuff like that, I kind of feel like that's one of those scenarios where if someone is going around and not being a good community member, then they really should be ostracized from most of the community. You know what I mean? Like if they're just not, if they're going into channels and just being a you know, horrible person, and they're doing that to multiple people across multiple channels, they probably deserve what they get. So there's always that there's always the possibility that, you know, someone can get targeted, right? Like, you know, they made one mistake and now suddenly that's propagating to other channels, even though it was, you know, it's a mistake that they are apologetic for. But that's kind of the thing. You kind of have to leave that in the hands of the streamer and of their moderator. I think giving them more information instead of less is probably in the grand scheme of things probably better. So yeah, I think I will like show for that user, like in the chat, show it for every channel they've had a moderation action against them. I'll probably highlight the current channel. I guess maybe give an option to show the current channel. Maybe there's 3 queries here. Yeah, I think there's going to be 3 queries here. We'll do that. And then I'll figure out how that looks on the UI as we go here. So I'll figure out which one of those I want to be the default. Let's user where target user see. Oh, did I miss? I think I missed. Yeah, I did. I need the action here. So was it a ban? Was it a timeout? I need that specifically called out. Even though I have the timed out expiration, I still should have the actual action there. So let's go fix that while I'm thinking about it here. Second. And 11, right? And audit. I'm just gonna make it a varchar. Varchar 100. No. I'm not going to try to make it we call it an enumeration, because that's just annoying to deal with. Wait, I can't do. Oh well, yes, I can do it right now. Let me do back one. That one. Save here. Clean. So it gets copied over to where it needs to be. Migrate. Now we should have in column. Yes. Not null. Okay. Cool. So I put that up after reason.
None shall pass. None shall.
Private. Ring action. There's setters for that. That does not end with a new line. Oh. So then get reason and audit action. Okay. Okay. That's. We want it first by. By ID. Oh. UID. I gotta do that here. D. No. And then we want for user for user and channel. Also, probably order by created pending. That pending is a user and channel. Right, user ID and oh wait, target user ID is the wrong one. Target user ID is the channel. Follower user ID is the follower. It's really follower user ID. User ID and follower user ID. That. No. User and channel, and then ban audits. Channel. That's just, and that would just be the target. User ID. There. Stuff. Public list and audit. Find by user. User. Oh. Find by user. So I need to make mapper to class and per row mapper and audit oh. Hmm. moment here. So we'll do yes, action. Just hit. Please. And that is everything there. All right, cool. Sweet. All right, so we have a mapper. And now I just have to complete the circle. Turn. And audit. No. Do it the other way here. Return ABC template query. The row mapper and sure. So we want go and it's for user, right? How about user? New an audit mapper. And provide it with okay. Find by user and channel. The channel ID. So it would be channel or then user ID. That's for user. Channel. And just find by channel. ID. Channel SQL, and that would just be the channel ID that I give it. Good. Good. Um, yeah. All right. So that's the DAO, and then I'll have a service layer, but the service layer will be updating both followers table to say that this person is banned or whatever, and also updating the audit at the same time. We'll have that in place. They'll go across both DAOs here, pulling those things properly, and yeah, and I just have to integrate it with the chat, which shouldn't be too much of an issue. I just have to do like a popover of some kind there, which doing popovers is always a difficult proposition anyway. So I'll have to. I assume I'll have to dig into Popper or something to do it, because otherwise it's just a pain in the ass. And yeah, and then we'll have buttons on there and stuff to do all the different functions. I'll integrate those with the actual controllers so we can have all that stuff available to the UI, and then we'll have to do like the actual settings page for that as well. You can see, like as a streamer, you can see like an audit log for the day of like how many of what happened, what your moderators did during your stream and all that stuff. So that'll all be good stuff there. Yeah, that's all good stuff. So we got the framework of it down, the foundation of it down. We just need to get the rest of it going. What I'm gonna do is let's re-error. Mouse sanitizer. That. Emote image type constant should be declared as final. Yeah, correct. Mark. All three of the errors were check style problems. Let's do project. Clean build. All right, so it looks like the build went through okay, which is awesome and all those things. Let's go and we'll commit what I've got so far, and then we'll have to pick it up again, I guess, next week. And I'll along the way here try to figure out how I'm going to integrate the bot development as well. I'll try to see if I can get developer access to LiveSpace, which is not necessarily a given. They might only be looking for established bots right now, not just a hobbyist like me, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll throw it out there and we'll see what comes about. And commit. Got brand new stuff here. Initial work on banning function and audit grid. cool. So push. Awesome. All right, that's all out there, my friends. And I think that'll do it for me for right now. I should be back tonight for our usual gaming session, I would think, with Shin and Overlord Cornut, most likely, and Gray. I don't know if we're going to be doing more Helldivers or we're going to be doing Power World. I don't know. One or the other. I would imagine probably maybe going to be Helldivers, but I don't know. I'm up for either one of those. So, or even something different. Who knows? Kind of leave it up to them. But yeah, that will do it for me for right now. Database and close out of Doctor so it can get angry with me when the tablet goes to sleep. So, with all of that said, my friend, let me see if I think Shin was live earlier on Live Space. Let's see if he's still doing stuff or not. We'll see here in a moment. Momento. Who is doing what right now out there? Who we got live right now? Got a couple, quite a few. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to send you guys over to Ramrod Jenkins, who is playing HyperX, looks like, which I don't know what that game is. It's like a shooter. So we'll send you over his way right now through the magic of hyperlinks in the chat there, and go take a look and hang out, say hi, and all those things. I believe he's also he also streams on Twitch. I'm sorry, he is in Last of Us 2. Okay, I thought HyperX was the thing. I think that must be a sponsor thing. No, he's in Last of Us 2 playing around, which is good. And yeah, he's also on Twitch, I believe, and perhaps another platform as well. Not sure, but I'm sending it to the Live Space one because that's the one I want to promote. Yeah, that's it for right now, my friends. Like I said, I'll be back probably in an hour and a half or so for our usual game night with friends. And unless something has happened, I don't know. Shin, I know, has been having some technical issues, and we'll see what's going on. But anyway, that's it for me for right now. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Hope everyone has an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on what it is for you. Hope to see you back here again in the future for some more stuff, whatever happens to suit your fancy. Until then, goodbye.
the cross it would free its Savior, its Creator's Son, release. And the Savior speaks in mildness. Blessed be thou of all the good. Bear as a token of this moment marks of blood and holy rood. And that bird is called the crossbill, covered all with blood so clear. In the groves of pine it sings songs like legends, strange to hear.
This is the way.